A bunch of nurses and doctors are leaving after their nighttime shifts, discussing the scene. They said that they were having a convivial New Year's Eve around midnight with their patients, enjoying the family atmosphere, when the code yellow alert came on the intercoms at around 3:15 a.m. At that point, everyone sprang into action.
US media are reporting that the suspect is believed to be dead. So far, it's been confirmed that 10 people were killed and at least 35 injured after a man drove a vehicle into a large crowd at around 3:15 a.m. local time last night. The incident took place on Bourbon Street, a popular tourist area in New Orleans. The city's mayor, LaToya Cantrell, says the city has been affected by a terrorist attack, although the FBI has said otherwise.
This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices that was found, and we are working on confirming if this is a viable device or not.
New Orleans Chief Police Officer Ann Kirkpatrick described what occurred.
We had this event started at about 3:15. It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. It was not a DUI situation. This is a more complex and more serious based on the information we have right now.
She also gave updates about members of the force who were involved in the attack.
He fired on our officers from his vehicle when he crashed his vehicle. 2 of our officers have been shot. They are stable, and we will give you an update on them.
A little earlier in the show, I was joined by Charlotte McDonald Gibson, US correspondent for the Times and the Sunday Times. She explained the contradictory statements about the nature of the incident.
We're getting some eyewitness reports in, none of which have much detail about the shooter. So I think always in these incidents, it is a little bit chaotic. There are different reports that come in, and understandably, the FBI want to really be very certain about information before they give it out, which I think is why we're seeing that contradiction between the mayor saying this was a terror attack, the FBI saying at the moment they're not treating it as such. I mean, that's because they're a lot more careful in their definitions, their legal definitions of what constitutes a terror attack. But I think it's absolutely clear from all the detail that this was a very intentional act.
Well, joining me now is Missy Wilkinson, reporter at the Times-Picayune news site. She's at one of the hospitals where some victims are being treated. Missy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Missy, just first of all, describe what the scene's like at the hospital.
Sure. So I'm at University Medical Center, which is New Orleans Level 1 Trauma Center, which did receive the bulk of the patients yesterday or earlier this morning. The flags are flying half-mast, and currently about 26 patients are still being processed through the emergency department. From there, they will head to the acute surgery department. And a bunch of nurses and doctors are leaving after their nighttime shifts, discussing the scene. They said that they were having a convivial New Year's Eve around midnight with their patients, enjoying the family atmosphere, when the code yellow alert came on the intercoms at around 3:15 a.m. At that point, everyone sprang into action. The people that I spoke with said they had no expectation that anything like this would happen tonight.
Yeah. How is the city responding to this attack? What's the general vibe over there?
Well, I think that the vibe is grim, tense, resolute to find out everything that we can to make sure people are safe. I think that everybody is just kind of in response mode right now.
So for those people who aren't familiar with New Orleans, and particular with Bourbon Street, Missy, tell us a little bit about that area of the city and what it would have looked like last night when this incident took place.
Sure. So New Year's Eve on Bourbon Street is a very crowded, tourist-heavy, festive event. There's a ton of foot traffic. The streets are generally closed to vehicular traffic at New Year's Eve. And it would have been a very crowded and festive event. There are fireworks over the Mississippi River nearby. There is a ball drop. It's something that is a destination for people that are local and from far away.
Now, Missy, it's a very confused picture, which it often is in the wake of an attack like this. We've heard reports that it is a terrorist attack, reports that it's not a terrorist attack. Do you have any update for us on what people are saying at the hospital there?
So I have not heard any word from whether it was a terrorist attack on the hospital sources. They are much more involved in the patient care level. It does depend on which agency you talk to, the definition of whether it was a terrorist attack. So I think that the jury is still out on that. I think it's a fluid situation that is still developing. And so we're going to learn more. But what we do know is it was intentional. And that suspect it seems to be now dead.
Yes. Do we know anything more about the identity of the suspect yet?
Yes, I have heard from police sources that they believe that this was a Mexican nationalist citizen.
Right. And what does that mean in terms of Mexican nationalism, in terms of the political context right now?
That to me is unclear at this point.
Right. Is there anything else we know so far that you can update us on, even in terms of what happens next from here?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of ambiguity around there. The streets to the French Quarter is still closed. Officials are asking people to avoid the area, which is, a lot of people are in town for the Sugar Bowl football game. There was supposed to be a parade leading up to that. And so I think that all the celebrations that would be normally scheduled during this weekend are kind of on hold at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Missy. We really appreciate it. That's Missy Wilkinson, who is a reporter at the Times-Picayune news site. And we will, of course, bring you updates from New Orleans as we have them this afternoon.
You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and of course a unified command who is present here. What I'm asking at this time are prayers for those who have lost their lives in the city of New Orleans due to this tragedy. In addition to that, I'm asking the public to stay clear of 8 blocks around Bourbon Street. Stay clear from Bourbon Street, 8 blocks around. Very active, and again, a unified command is in place right now. I'm going to ask Chief Kirkpatrick to give you an update. You're then going to hear from our agent in charge relative to the FBI. So at this time, Chief Kirkpatrick.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to give you as much of the information I possibly can. We are going to give you an update a couple of times today. So we will give you just the basics this morning, all right? We had this event started at about 3:15. It did involve a man driving a pickup truck down Bourbon Street at a very fast pace, and it was very intentional behavior. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. It was not a DUI situation. This is a more complex and more serious based on the information we have right now. With respect to numbers, we have right now, and as you already know, this could change throughout the day. We do know that there are 26 injured people who are at UMC Hospital. We know we have 4 at Turo, 4 at Oshner Baptist, 1 at Tulane, but even as I was walking out the door, I believe I have an unconfirmed additional people who have been taken to other area hospitals, possibly on the east side. But we will give you as many correct numbers as we can as the day progresses. It is a very tragic situation for me to tell you that we know we have 10 people that this man killed on Bourbon Street. What I also can tell you is that this man, this perpetrator, he fired on our officers from his vehicle when he crashed his vehicle. 2 of our officers have been shot. They are stable.